There's something no one ever tells you about the signs that he's coming back. They don't show up on his phone first, they show up in his mind. While everyone else is busy waiting for a text, a like on social media, or any tiny crumb of attention, the real transformation is happening somewhere much deeper, in his mental and energetic field. It's as if the universe is rewriting this man's internal code, line by line, and he doesn't even realize his own soul is reprogramming him. The question isn't if he'll come back, but when the inner pressure will become so unbearable that he'll have no choice but to return. Think about it, have you noticed how the silence between you has changed in quality? At first, it felt cold, distant, almost like relief on his part. But now there's something different in the air, a subtle, invisible tension that you can feel even without talking to him. That's because the runner's behavior has started to reconnect with the very energy he tried so hard to avoid, yours. He could be across town, in another relationship, or pretending he's moved on, but inside his mind, he's fighting a silent war. And the most fascinating part? The more he tries to run from you mentally, the more space you take up in his thoughts. These 7 mental signs I'm about to reveal are like invisible footprints he's leaving in the energetic field between you two. They're clues that show he's suffering, even if he'd never admit it to anyone, maybe not even to himself. Understanding what's going on inside the runner's mind in this connection is like reading a secret diary he'd never dare to write. And if you pay close attention to the details I'm about to share, you'll realize he might already be on his way back, only this time, it's happening from the inside out, from the unseen to the seen. Because every physical return begins first as a mental one, an inner awakening he can no longer ignore. Before we dive into the signs, it's important to understand what really happens in the dynamic between the runner and the chaser within the twin flame journey. Most people think the runner-chaser phase is about rejection and acceptance, about who loves more and who loves less, but the truth runs much deeper than that. The runner doesn't run because he's a coward, or because he doesn't feel anything, and definitely not because you're not enough. He runs because the intensity of the connection forces him to face every wound he spent his entire life trying to hide from himself. It's like turning on the light in a room that's been dark for years, suddenly everything that was hidden becomes visible all at once, and that can be terrifying. The chaser, on the other hand, is the one who awakens first to this overwhelming connection and desperately tries to make the runner see what seems so obvious. But here's the secret that few people truly understand: when the divine masculine finally awakens and starts to return, it's not because you chased, begged, or proved your love. It's because he finally found the courage to look within and face his own demons. Every time you pull back energetically, every time you stop feeding the chase and focus on your own healing, something shifts in the energetic field between you. He feels your energy from afar, even if he can't explain how or why, and it shakes him in ways words never could. Maybe you're feeling it right now, a subtle shift in the air, as if something has moved on the invisible chessboard between you two. Maybe you've dreamed about him, felt a strange presence, or simply noticed that your heart doesn't feel as heavy as it used to. These are mental signs of the masculine returning before he even shows up physically. And if you're here watching this video, it's not a coincidence, it's confirmation that something greater is unfolding behind the scenes of your story. By the way, if this message resonates with you, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell, because this journey is just beginning, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Sign 1, the silence starts to hurt. In the beginning, when he pulled away, the silence seemed to be exactly what he needed, a breath of air, some space, a pause from the storm of emotions you awakened in him. He truly believed that distance would bring peace, that emptiness would mean freedom. But do you know what happens when someone runs away to an empty house? Sooner or later, the echo starts to answer back. And that echo doesn't bring relief, it brings his own voice questioning the choices he made, replaying the moments he left behind, and feeling the weight of your absence as if it were something physical pressing on his chest. The silence that was supposed to be his refuge slowly turns into a noisy prison filled with unanswered questions. This is the first and most powerful sign that he's coming back, when the emptiness stops being comfortable and starts to hurt. He tries to fill that space with anything: work, new relationships, trips, endless distractions, but nothing works because the void isn't outside, it's inside. It's like trying to cover the sun with a sieve, you know. Your absence starts to scream louder than any new presence he tries to add to his life. And the worst part is, he can't even explain it to anyone, because how do you tell someone you missed the very person you chose to leave behind? How do you admit you ran from something you now realize was exactly what you needed? I remember a story I once heard from a man who spent months running from a deep, intense connection with a woman. He blocked her on social media, moved to another city, even started dating other people, trying to convince himself he had moved on. But he told me something I'll never forget: the silence was so heavy that I would wake up in the middle of the night feeling like I had forgotten to breathe. That's exactly what happens when he's suffering for you. His body feels the loss even while his mind keeps denying it. And it's in that quiet, invisible pain that the second transformation begins to take place within him. Sign 2, the memories come to life. After the silence starts to hurt, something even more intriguing begins to happen in the runner's mind. Memories stop being just distant recollections from the past and start taking on a life of their own. They begin visiting him as if they have a will of their own, showing up at the most unexpected and inconvenient moments. He could be in the middle of an important meeting and suddenly remember the way you laughed at that inside joke only the two of you understood. He might be driving, hear a song on the radio, and instantly be transported back to that day you spent together, as if time had never passed. A scent on the street, a random phrase, even the taste of a cup of coffee, all of it can become portals pulling him right back to you. It's important to understand that this isn't ordinary nostalgia, nor just a romantic longing for something beautiful that ended. When the runner's behavior starts to reconnect energetically with you, those memories carry an almost supernatural intensity. It's as if each memory were a living fragment of your connection, something that refuses to die, that pulses, that breathes, that demands to be felt. He tries to push those images away, to distract himself, but they come back even stronger. And the most fascinating part? Those memories don't appear randomly, they surface exactly when you, on your side, are working on your own healing, raising your vibration, and reconnecting with your essence. It's as if the universe were synchronizing the two of you across time and space. From a spiritual perspective, what's happening is that the awakened feminine energy starts reactivating the energetic field between you. Think of it like this: the two of you are antennas tuned to the same frequency, and when you heal, when you rise, that frequency shifts, and he picks up on it, even if he doesn't understand what it is. That's why he feels your absence as a presence that won't let him rest. The more you distance yourself physically but grow stronger spiritually, the more he feels you invading his thoughts, his dreams, even his breathing. And this silent invasion of memories is only the mental preparation for what's about to come next. Sign 3, he feels your energy even from a distance. Now let's talk about one of the most powerful and least understood concepts in this entire journey. The energetic cord that connects twin flames never breaks, it only changes frequency. Many people believe that when the runner walks away, the connection is severed, that the thread between you is cut and that's the end of it. But the truth is, this cord is indestructible. It might go dormant, it might vibrate at lower frequencies, it might even seem invisible, but it's always there, transmitting information from one soul to the other. And here's the secret that will completely shift your perspective: when you heal a wound, he feels it. When you stop chasing and start valuing yourself, he feels it even more. When you finally let go of the outcome and reconnect with your own light, it's as if his soul hears the sound of your silence. This isn't poetry, it's pure energy in motion. Think of the runner and the chaser as two musical instruments playing the same melody. When one changes its tone, the other instantly feels the dissonance or harmony. I've seen men wake up in the middle of the night with a strange heaviness in their chest, not knowing why, only to find out later that, in that exact moment, their counterpart was having a deep emotional breakthrough. I've seen runners feel an unexplainable sadness on days when the chaser was celebrating a personal victory, because on an energetic level, he senses that he's losing the higher version of her. It's like knowing he misses you without him ever saying a word. A friend of mine experienced this so intensely that it almost sounded like science fiction. She spent months trying to understand why every time she truly decided to move on, starting therapy, going back to the gym, reconnecting with friends, her ex would suddenly show up out of nowhere with a random message or a like on an old photo. It wasn't coincidence. He was feeling her vibrational shift and unconsciously reacting to it. Because when you raise your frequency, you literally become energetically irresistible, not because you're trying to get his attention, but because your light has grown so strong that he can no longer ignore it, even from miles away. And that unconscious realization, that you're changing, evolving, becoming whole without him, is what sets the stage for the next internal transformation he's about to face. Sign 4, the ego starts to crumble. After he begins to feel your energy from a distance and realizes you're no longer vibrating in that frequency of despair, something dramatic starts happening inside him, the castle of his ego begins to collapse. This is one of the most powerful mental signs of the masculine returning, because it's where real transformation begins. The masculine ego is built on pillars like control, independence, the belief that he doesn't need anyone, that he's always in charge of his own life. But when he senses you're no longer chasing him, when he realizes you've become whole without him, those pillars start to crack. It's like an internal earthquake shaking every certainty he ever had about himself and about your connection. On the outside, he'll still try to keep up appearances, posting happy photos, pretending he's living his best life, maybe even showing off a new relationship like a trophy. But on the inside, that castle is collapsing brick by brick. He starts questioning whether he really made the right decision, whether the freedom he chased so hard is even worth it without you there. He wonders if what he once called suffocating love wasn't actually the most genuine connection he's ever experienced. And the most painful part? He begins to see clearly all the times he hurt you, all the chances he wasted, every moment he chose his ego over his heart. This awakening is brutal, because it forces him to dismantle everything he once believed about control and independence. But here's the beauty in all of this, from the ruins of that collapsing castle, truth is born. When the masculine begins to awaken and move toward returning, it's not the proud, controlling man who comes back, it's a transformed man, one who finally understands that vulnerability isn't weakness, that needing someone isn't dependency, and that loving deeply doesn't mean losing control, it means finding real strength. This ego death is the portal to genuine love, the kind that doesn't imprison either of you, but frees you both to be who you truly are. And when you understand that, you realize that the pain he's feeling for you goes far beyond missing you, he's mourning the death of his old self so that a new version of him can be born. And it's from that symbolic death that the next sign begins to emerge. Sign 5, his mind starts building bridges. When the ego begins to crumble and the runner finally stops resisting, his mind starts doing something fascinating, it begins to build bridges back to you. These bridges aren't physical, they're mental and emotional. He starts to remember the good moments with a clarity he didn't have before, filtering those memories through a completely different lens. What once felt like too much intensity now feels like depth. What he used to call dependence he now recognizes as true emotional surrender. And most revealing of all, he starts to imagine what-if scenarios, creating mental stories about what it would be like to see you again, what he would say, how he would apologize, and whether you'd still feel the same about him. These thoughts aren't random or fleeting, they become recurring, almost obsessive. He could be in the middle of his day, doing something ordinary, and suddenly find himself picturing what it would feel like to see you again, to hug you, to hear your voice. It's as if his subconscious is already writing the letter that his ego still doesn't have the courage to send. He rehearses conversations in his mind, relives moments he once dismissed, and now those same moments feel like lost treasures he never knew how to value. This is his mind preparing the emotional ground for his return, even if consciously he's still resisting it. From a spiritual perspective, this stage is deeply significant because it shows that reunion always begins in the mental plane before it manifests in the physical world. It's as if the universe were aligning the pieces behind the scenes, preparing both of you for the right moment. While you're on your side working on your healing and raising your vibration, he's on his side rebuilding the very bridge he once burned down. And the more he thinks about you, the more energy he sends toward that reconnection, strengthening the signal that he's on his way back. But before that return can fully happen, there's an even deeper transformation that needs to unfold within him. Sign 6, he begins to observe himself. After his mind starts building mental bridges back to you, something even deeper begins to unfold. The runner becomes the silent observer of his own life. He stops living on autopilot and starts truly paying attention to his own behaviors, choices, and patterns. It's as if he finally steps out of the play he's been performing in and takes a seat in the audience to watch his own performance, and often, what he sees isn't pretty. He realizes how he ran away, how he hurt you, how he repeatedly chose fear over love. And this awareness doesn't come with gentle judgment, it comes with the full weight of consciousness that hurts, burns, and transforms. Spiritually speaking, this is the stage where he begins to see his own behavior with brutal clarity. It's like looking into a mirror and, for the first time, recognizing the man behind the mask he's worn his entire life. He sees the wounded boy who never learned to truly love, the teenager who confused vulnerability with weakness, the adult who built walls so high that even he can no longer see what lies beyond them. And in this process of self-observation, 3 feelings begin to take over his heart: guilt for what he's done, longing for what he's lost, and a spiritual curiosity about why you came into his life. He starts to wonder if there's something bigger at play, if you two are part of a plan he can't fully understand. I once heard a story from a man who went through this and said something that's never left my mind. I thought I was running away from her, but I discovered I'd been running from myself the whole time. She was just the mirror reflecting everything I didn't have the courage to face. That perfectly sums up what happens when the runner and the chaser finally see each other for who they truly are. He realizes you were never the problem, you were the catalyst that forced him to awaken to who he really is beneath all those defenses. And when a man reaches this level of awareness, when he finally understands that he wasn't running from you, but from his own truth, something magical is about to happen. Because after self-observation comes the final and most defining sign. Sign 7, the spiritual awakening. We've arrived at the most powerful and definitive sign of all, the moment when the mind finally surrenders, and the heart wins the battle. After all the silent suffering, the haunting memories, the energy felt from afar, the collapse of the ego, the mental bridges he built, and the painful self-observation, the masculine experiences his spiritual awakening. And this awakening isn't some movie-like romantic scene where he suddenly realizes he loves you, it's far deeper than that. He finally understands that what he lost wasn't just a person or a relationship, it was his connection to his own true self. You were the mirror, the door, the portal that would have led him back to his soul, and he closed that door out of fear of what he might find on the other side. This spiritual awakening hurts in a way no physical pain ever could, because it's the pain of full consciousness. It's like waking up from a long dream and realizing that love was always within him, you simply reminded him of it, you were the light that illuminated the path. He begins to see that all the suffering, all the running, all the resistance were necessary for him to reach this point of emotional and spiritual maturity. And the most beautiful part is this: he understands that you're not the missing half meant to complete him, but the reflection reminding him that he's always been whole, he had just forgotten. When this realization clicks in his mind, everything shifts, his frequency changes, his intentions change, the very quality of the love he feels transforms completely. At this stage, he doesn't return because he's lonely, desperate, or because other options didn't work out. He comes back because he's finally ready to meet you at the same vibrational level, the same frequency of consciousness. The suffering that once fueled his resistance now becomes wisdom, the pain becomes compassion, the fear becomes courage. He finally understands that loving you isn't about losing his freedom, it's about gaining the true freedom to be himself, without masks, without defenses, without games. And when the masculine reaches this point of awakening, his return is no longer just a possibility, it's an energetic certainty, simply waiting for the right moment to manifest in the physical world. But understanding these signs is only the beginning of the story. After everything we've talked about here, maybe you're realizing that he hasn't come back physically yet, but energetically, he's already on his way. And do you know why? Because true return never begins with a text message or an unexpected phone call, it starts with a deep internal shift that resonates between two souls. Every mental sign we've discussed is proof that something greater is moving behind the scenes of your story. He may still be fighting his ego, trying to convince himself that he doesn't need to come back, but his soul has already made the decision. And when the soul decides, no ego can resist for long. Now, here's the part you need to etch into your heart: every time you choose yourself, you teach him to do the same. Every time you stop chasing and start healing, you raise the vibration of your connection. Every moment you invest in becoming the best version of yourself, you're paving the way back, not for him to return to your desperation, but for him to meet your wholeness. Because a twin flame reunion isn't a prize you earn by waiting or suffering long enough, it's a natural consequence of both souls' inner healing. When the feminine stops chasing, the masculine stops running, and love finally finds its way home. And here's the spiritual wisdom that closes this cycle: the universe is never late, it's just waiting for both of you to be ready. While you thought you were wasting time waiting, you were actually gaining wisdom, strength, and becoming a version of yourself he's never met before. And when he returns, not if, but when, he won't find the same desperate woman he once left. He'll find a woman who is whole, conscious, and elevated, one who no longer needs him to be happy but can choose to love him from a place of abundance, not lack. And that's the kind of love that transforms, that heals, that endures. But now comes the most important question of all. If you felt that this video spoke directly to your soul, it's because this message was meant for you. It wasn't by chance that you made it this far, and it wasn't a coincidence that these words resonated so deeply in your heart. The universe has a curious way of placing the right information in front of the right person at exactly the moment they need to hear it most. And if you feel that something has shifted after watching this, it's because you're ready for the next phase of your awakening. Keep moving forward in this process of growth, because what you've seen here is just the tip of the iceberg. The universe is only beginning to reveal what comes next. Take a look at the video appearing on your end screen. It will show you exactly what happens when the feminine finally truly lets go and the masculine feels that vibrational shift in his soul. It's the natural continuation of everything we've discussed here, and I promise it will bring even more clarity about the stage you're currently experiencing. Understanding the mental signs is important, but knowing what to do with that knowledge is what truly transforms your journey. Watch it now while this message is still fresh in your heart and mind. And if this content genuinely touched you, will you help me share this message with more people who need to hear it? Leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. This lets YouTube know you want to continue this journey with me, and I can keep guiding you on this path of awakening and transformation. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, remember, you're not alone on this journey, and the best is yet to come.